After a buttload of research, I have found out that there are way too many fighting games to count. From the classics to the ASICs, there's something for everyone who's ever picked up a joystick. But which one should you avoid and which one should you check out? I'm Dave and I'm joined by our good buddy AOK. And we're going to be ranking every fighting game ever made. That's right, it's a new series of videos in which we pick a few games, then we give them a score, then we rank them. Now we're not going to count any boxing games, any wrestling games, or any UFC games, because that's a whole nother can of worms. But there will be a few exceptions. So mispronounce your favorite special move and get ready for Fighter Ranker.
The King of Iron Fist Tournament. Enter the Tekken.
So I wanted to start off with a pretty good measuring stick, so why not Tekken 3? Released in 1997 to arcade and ported over to the PlayStation in 1998.
Oh, there's Big O, the classic.
Classic ball. Yeah.
Ah, fuck!
So what does Namco do after Tekken 1 and 2? Well, for starters, the game looks better and sounds better than the previous games. While the visuals are a step up, I can't leave out the fact that this is stuck on PlayStation-like hardware. I mean, there's a reason why indie developers are using this aesthetic for horror games these days. However, for a PlayStation 1 era game, this isn't that bad. But the sound is where the presentation shines. A new announcer, a more edgy tone. This is where the series found its identity. And this won't be the last time I say that.
Oh, damn. Okay, I blocked it. I blocked it once.
But how does it play? Well, it's Tekken 2, but faster, tighter, more responsive. You know, a button for each limb. Left and right. Kick and punch. They absolutely hit the sweet spot here. There's even a sidestep. As I said earlier, this is where the series really found its identity. Seems like before this, they only thought that 3D fighters should be a certain way, because everyone else did it, and then they said, screw it, let's make Tekken how it should be, and people will eat it up. And they did that. That's not to say there aren't balance issues, because there is. Some characters are absolutely more powerful than the rest. Not only that, but there's a minority of people that thought this was way too much of a departure from the previous two titles. But if you want a fighting game that has the perfect balance of style and substance, then this is your guy. Damn it.
Ow.
Whoa!
There you go!
Another aspect that will be scoring these games will be the reputation and legacy. Tekken 3 has won awards and is on just about every top 10 list you can find for a PlayStation game. No other fighter that I can think of, besides maybe Smash, has done this sort of thing on any major console. As much as I love the Dreamcast and Saturn, they aren't even in the same league as the PlayStation. But there's one small problem though. The only real way to play against people online is through Parsec or emulators. There's no real matchmaking for Tekken 3 anymore. Best thing you can do is find a Discord server where people are looking for opponents. And that really is the only major gripe you can give this game. Even the unbalanced roster is still a minor issue because the game is still very fun to play. So what do we grade it? Well, I can confidently say that Tekken 3 scores 94.25 out of 100. This is the standout Tekken game among other standout Tekken games. Namco really found the perfect formula and continued to build off of it. It's just not very easy to find opponents. So it's time to look at a granddaddy of the fighting game genre, Karate Champ, released in 1984. Although it actually isn't the first fighting game, a lot of people mistake it to be the first fighting game. The game looks and sounds about what you would expect from this era of arcade games. There's also some nice digitized voices in there to help it stand out from the other games of the era. The actual controls of the game have you use two joysticks, one to move and the other to attack. Any combination of both joysticks will throw out a certain move. While the system itself is actually very simple, many modern fighting game players would probably struggle with the way the game plays. All you're looking to do is to score a hit and to get a point or a half point. Yes, there is skill involved, but it almost seems sometimes like it's more of a rock, paper, scissors sort of system. So while the arcade version plays okay, you want to avoid the NES version. It's not that good. In fact, it's pretty terrible, man. And I can't speak on the Commodore 64 or the Apple II versions. I'm sure they're just as bad as the NES. So as far as the game's legacy is concerned, it's actually one of the most influential games there is as far as the subject of fighting games. I mean, Christ, it's one of the primary inspirations for Mortal Kombat. However, its history is getting more and more lost every day. With each new cutting-edge fighting game that comes out, see this as more as just an old arcade game that just kind of existed. So we're going to score Karate Champ as 61.1 out of 100. It's nothing special nowadays. However, if you were to look back, it really is one of the most important games in the genre. Just don't play the NES version. Spectral Vs Generation is a 4-button fighter from 2005, and it is actually a crossover game. The two series that the game incorporates is Spectral Force and Generation of Chaos, both of which I've never heard of.
Oh. Hyper combo!
They're both IPs of the company Idea Factory. So before working on this video, I've only heard about this game vaguely. The few stills that I've seen of the game made me think that it was from the late 90s. I was kind of surprised when I realized that the game was from 2005. It doesn't look terrible, it just looks outdated for the time. The whole presentation just screams early anime fighter. And the game plays like an early anime fighter, but that's not a bad thing. This guy kind of sucks. The button layout is similar to that of Samurai Showdown. Light, medium, heavy, and a kick. There's a parry, you can air dash, and there's even a dust-like attack. I'm kind of torn on this mechanic because on one hand, it shows you the commands, and which is nice, but at the same time, it seems like you're limited to just those commands after it pops up. So there's really not much room for creativity. At least so it seems, I could be wrong. There's also a mechanic called Seal of Time. It allows for extra hits after you slow down the character. You hit A, B, and C together after certain moves. I don't know if it was really a mental thing between either of us, but we couldn't really follow up with much after we activated this. I don't know, maybe it was just us. And yes, there was a burst mechanic. Go figure. So yeah, the gameplay is actually halfway decent, just a little samey in some respects, but also does a couple of different things. It's definitely not something for someone who just jumped into fighting games, though. It could be kind of punishing. And the supers just seem way too powerful for some reason. Ooh. Okay.
Oh, what the fuck?
What the fuck? What's that?
Hello? You found your character?
I might have. This game does have a somewhat small fan base, I see. It's even on Fightcade, although there wasn't anyone playing when we popped on, we just played each other. Yeah, it's pretty obscure. Not many people have heard about it, let alone have played it. But it does have a fan base. They enjoy it. However, we are going to give the game 62.5 points out of 100. It's a fun little fighting game, just not many people have heard about it, and the presentation is lacking. However, if you're new to the genre, I'd say find something else first before you start playing this. So now, unfortunately, we have Brutal Paws of Fury. It's a 2D one-on-one fighter starring anthropomorphic characters.
We're puppies
We might be.
doing brutal combat. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a bunny.
When doing research for this game, I found out that you're either going to hate this game or actually rather enjoy it. I mean, we didn't hate it, but we absolutely didn't enjoy it either.
Did that. I did that. What should I use?
Ivan.
Ooh, no.
What the fuck?
Oh no. Who's the most gayest? A rat.
I
Hi,
cheetah.
Cheetah. Let's go with this guy.
I smell a rat. We played the Super Nintendo version, which appears to be the version with all the most positive features. The graphics aren't terrible, but they could be a lot better. But the sound department was severely lacking. Characters didn't even make any noise during the fights. Kind of.
I'm just like,
Okay.
I'm pressing every button.
The gameplay's not all that great. There's special moves though, so there's that. The best way to describe the gameplay would be if Shaq Fu tried to be a better game. There's even an entry in Fightcade for it. So, yeah. Awesome. We really didn't spend a whole lot of time with this. We didn't like it. I mean, we didn't hate it, but we didn't like it. Unless you like animal culture, then there's no reason to play this. And you know what I mean by animal culture.
Ow!
We ultimately gave this game 28.1 out of 100. It's not really our thing. The controls are kind of sluggish. You play as animal people. At least it's not complete ass, because there are games that are complete ass. You can probably skip it. And we're going to end this thing on a strong note. Yes, Mortal Kombat 2. Called by many as the definitive Mortal Kombat game. It's on a buttload of systems. A lot of people still play it on Fightcade to this day. And good lord, I was surprised at how good this game looks. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's one of the greatest looking games of all time or anything, but it's just so damn crisp looking. And yeah, it actually holds up. It holds up today. In fact, the presentation of all the early Mortal Kombat games overall are just spot on fantastic. The atmosphere doesn't get much better. Ow, ow, ow. No. Okay, that's not gonna work. The controls are typical for Mortal Kombat and more responsive than the previous game. However, as much as I like this, I cannot help but think that, it's still a rather simple system. And I've never been on board with the idea of having a block button. That's not to say that we didn't enjoy the gameplay, because it is quite fun, don't get me wrong.
Right. Block is a button. Block is a button. I repeat, block is a button.
There's just not much to it. But I guess you could say the same thing about a lot of early games, like Street Fighter 2 and whatnot. But you can definitely tell that the developers spent more time on the presentation of the game. The fatalities and all that stuff. Speaking about the gameplay, the one-player mode, it's pretty cheap, man. Yeah, it actually reads your inputs. No lie. We were going to split up and play one-player mode, but I think we ultimately decided not to because we have before, and it was a pain. It was painful. Yeah, it actually caused bodily pain. But playing against a human opponent is a blast. If you're one of these people that have only played the modern Mortal Kombat games, do yourself a favor, go download Fightcade and play Mortal Kombat 2.
What is your size?
Uh-oh.
Ah, you want to do it like that, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. So rude.
As far as this game's legacy is concerned, it's up there, man. Like I said before, it's widely considered to be the definitive Mortal Kombat game. As big as the first Mortal Kombat game was, this proved to be even more of a commercial success and an even larger cultural phenomenon. Not only that, but when it came time for this game to have its console releases, Nintendo decided to allow all the blood and whatnot on the cartridge. And this game was super crazy popular in the arcades. Always a giant crowd around the machine. And yeah, you're not going to get a much better legacy than Mortal Kombat 2. Let me at him! Let me at him! Let me at him! Okay. And with that being said, we ultimately gave Mortal Kombat 2 a 90.2 out of 100. It's the Mortal Kombat game. It's the best, considered by a lot of people. The presentation is just absolutely perfect, but the gameplay might lose a few purists. Thanks for watching. So I'm not that great at fighting games, I'm just a big fan. Thankfully I have a friend who's pretty good at fighting games, so A-okay, I brought him along on this project. So the plan is for this series to be ongoing. We hope people will stop by and check these videos out and to maybe even discover some new stuff. Obviously, the very first handful of entries will provide a small list of games, but over a while this list is going to grow, and it's going to grow gigantic. We eventually would like to build a web page where people can go and view this list as it's going on over time. Now, our channel is still pretty young. It rarely posts fighting game stuff, and I'd actually like to venture more into the fighting game territory, to go along with the other things that we like to do. Well, we post a lot of Fallout content, and we play a lot of old school games, a lot of PC games, and eventually when we're able to actually start doing memberships, we can maybe even make it to where the members can start giving these games their own score, so that can be updated as well on the list. So we hope you join us for future entries. This was more of a kind of pilot and a proof of concept. I would like to try to make these videos a little bit longer and a little bit more fleshed out. But until then, give this video a like if you like it, dislike it if you want, and even subscribe if you want. But I'll see you next time. Stay safe.